That's good. So where are you working out of right now? Office or home?
Okay, so we are live right now. Namaste, namaste, friends. A very, very warm welcome to the Shakti series. Today we have the amazing Bindiya Murgai with us. Last time during the lockdown, we had a session with her regarding stress, anxiety, depression, and when she starts talking, you just get glued to your seat. If we start talking about her credentials, I think our 20 minutes will be over here itself. So I'll just make it short. She is a recipient of the Karmavir Chakra from the United Nations for the contribution that she has done to mental health. Her phenomenal skills helps the person soothe down. Her techniques helps the person get organized mentally. So welcome, Miss Bindiya. Back again.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to join you again.
Bindiya, now since this was, because of Women's Day that we are getting all together, I would like to ask for the women themselves, we have smart TVs at home now. It's not the regular cable TV. Most of the homes have smart TVs. So what happens, once one serial starts, once an interesting story starts, the autoplay button just goes on and on and on and on. And so because of that, somehow the discipline in life is getting a little disturbed. So how do we stop our temptation when we are watching YouTube or when we are watching the serials on the smart TV? How to stop the temptation? There's a fine line between entertainment and addiction now. So how to manage that fine line?
Well, it's a very relevant question, and I'm so glad we're talking about this because digital addiction and overdependence has really exponentially increased. And thanks to the lockdown, because people were cooped up at home. You had no other venues of entertainment. You couldn't socialize, you couldn't go anywhere. So all the entertainment was happening on the screen. And because there's so much content available, and so much of it is binge watching content where you've got whole series loaded and you can just keep watching one after the other, the temptation is extremely present. Now, it's not only what you're watching on the screen in terms of serials, but it's also what you're doing on your devices, such as your phones. This endless compulsion to keep scrolling on social media, to keep yourself connected with somebody or the other all the time, to keep watching, basically consumption of content, non-stop digital consumption of content is what is creating a lot of mental burnout for people and addiction. So one of the things in this, what I'm going to say is relevant to, I would like to expand it a little more to the phones as well, because a lot of addiction is also phone addiction, not just watching series and all that, is that there is nothing that you can do except start creating that discipline right now. You have to take a step back. You have to realize when your technology has started using you instead of you using the technology. And one of the things we have to understand is that devices such as smartphones are meant to be addictive in nature, not the device itself, but the content it comes loaded with. Now, every time we pick up our phone because there's an alert or we see a ping happening, each of those alerts is creating a little dopamine hit in our brain. Every time we share something on social media, we get a like or we get a comment, it gives us a little dopamine hit, and the brain loves it because dopamine is a feel-good chemical. It's also the one chemical which is responsible for addictions of all sorts. So the more dopamine we get, the more we want to keep going back into that loop, into that pattern, because in the moment it feels good and we don't realize when we've gone down the slippery slope of being addicted. So firstly, take a step back and audit. How much time are you spending on your devices, be it your smartphone, be it a laptop, other than work and essential things that you're doing? So we're not going to count things like, oh, you're making a booking for something. That's essential. Fine. How do we do it? Now, all smartphones, be it an Android, be it the Apples, be it your laptops, everyone is coming preloaded with different sorts of softwares which can help you monitor how much time you're spending on the screen and doing what activities on the screen. So that's how you audit. Go check every day how much time is being spent and see if you're spending too much time on wasteful activities, such as endless binge watching or uh, what we call rabbit hole sites with endless bottomless feeds like Instagram, BuzzFeed, Facebook, all of those. If you're spending a lot of time on those, start by putting a time restriction, which your device will allow you to do. So it locks you out after you spend that much time already on those sites. So if you don't want to use the preloaded stuff, you can also download lots and lots of different apps are available to be able to do that, to monitor and to cut off your usage. Suppose you don't want to do that. The best thing to create digital hygiene is to say that I'm going to give myself X amount of time as a reward of something as a reward for something else I've done. So let's say I've been in the kitchen, I've been cooking for 2 hours, then I've served the family, I've cleared up everything. Then I will reward myself with one episode of something that I want to watch. But after that, I will put a timer on my phone, the alarm will go off, and I'm going to actually tune off and do something else, which is off screen. So this is one very useful way to be able to curtail that. And the second thing is that you have to ask yourself that why are you binge watching so much, sometimes even late in the night, disrupting your sleep? Is it because you have no other avenue to calm yourself down? And if you don't, then you need to find something such as an outdoor exercise, such as reading a book, such as perhaps even a short little burst of meditation if you can't do it for too long, which is an actual decompressing activity away from the screen. So audit, check, and put things, measures in place, which are going to curtail the usage that you're doing and how much you're binging on whatever it is that you're watching or consuming online.
Amazing. Bindiya, thank you for the practical approach on how really we can do a self-control. And definitely, before I jump to the next question, I request all the viewers, friends, if you have any queries, anything you want to ask, please feel free to post it on the comment section. We will ask the questions to Bindiya and she will get back, of course. Okay, Bindiya, next question. This like how hospital management is there, clinic management, office management, business management, this thing called home management. It's a 24-hour task. And how much ever input you put in, it is never ending, never ending. You focus, you complete your task, and again the next day the whole thing is right there in front of you. Back to square one. So
yeah,
how do we cut off from this mundane routine? It makes one feel so sick and tired. You don't feel like socializing at times because my work is still pending at home. Oh no, my cleaning is still left. Oh no, my clothes are still to be packed. So how do we, de-stress ourselves from this viscous cycle?
It's very interesting that we're talking about this, really, Pranti, because I think what is happening is more and more people don't realize what a difficult task it is to manage the home. A home is like running a whole organization, if you look at it. And very often, it's the one woman on whose shoulders all the domestic stuff goes and rests, be it taking care of the cleaning, the cooking, the people at home, whether it's a spouse, it's children, it's elderly people, the pet, whoever it is. The women seem to be the ones who are left with all of this on their lap to do. The first thing to understand is that to avoid burnout, let's be realistic and let's come to terms with the fact that nobody here is superwoman. You may be a great woman and a superwoman, but not the kind of superwoman who's, flying around the place. But you do have one amazing superpower that you can use in order to be able to create some balance in your life so that you don't get consumed by just domesticity and domestic work all the time. And that superpower is the power of being organized. It's as accessible to everyone. And it sounds really simple that, oh, fine, I'll just be organized. But if we can talk a little and break it down into what being organized looks like, then we can actually arrive at a very clear picture of what your life would look once you start putting everything in neat little boxes. So the first thing for that is to say that how do I delegate? How do I not try to do everything myself? How do I involve other people at home in whatever capacity that they can be involved? Now, what that means is that if your child can even make their own bed, you have to encourage and even incentivize them by telling them that, okay, if you make your bed for 30 days at a stretch, or 1 week at a stretch, or 5 days at a stretch, this is a small reward that you will get in return. So in the beginning, you may need to do that. Begin with incentivizing. Now, according to age, skill set, the time people are willing to give, firstly, sit down with them, plan, ask them how much they're willing to take on, what they can take on, and distribute at least even 10% of your workload, because 10% workload distributed out means you have that much more time for yourself to do something else. So that is the first thing. Then, very importantly, you need a routine. Without a routine, we are lost. You need a routine for yourself. If you have children, you need a routine for your children and for everyone else, so that the expectation is clear. This is the time we wake up. This is the time we exercise. This is the time everyone comes to the table to eat, and so on and so forth. That routine creates not only a sense of normalcy for us in times which have really been far from normal. These pandemic times, post pandemic, we're all trying to kind of coming to terms with how to regain that normalcy. A routine gives us a semblance of that and streamlines everything in the house. Then join forces with other people, friends, parents, neighbors, so that if you can all do tasks in rotation. If I'm going to the market, why don't I take everyone's list so that every time a different person goes, they can shop for the other person. So incrementally, I'm saving time. If I need an hour off, how can I tie up with some neighbors or people around in the building where everyone once a week can maybe take the kids for an hour, so that you have that much of a breather for yourself? So that's another way of being organized. And then, of course, planning even small things which sound like small things, such as menus. How much time goes every day in thinking, what should I make for breakfast? What should I make for lunch? What should I make for dinner? Make a weekly plan, stick it on the fridge, discuss it with everyone beforehand, tell them this is the menu. If anyone wants a change, put it there. That way you're organized in your shopping, in your prep, and even in like chopping things all together at one time, like every 3 days, perhaps chopping, keeping it in the fridge instead of doing it every day, and saving time incrementally. So, organizing yourself to get these incremental benefits of time by the end of the day saves you a lot of time. And that in return, coming back to your question of how do you avoid that kind of burnout, where you just feel like you're just consumed by all this stuff, you won't feel it anymore, because you might start with half an hour extra, 1 hour extra, and slowly expand till the time you have a decent kind of a balance to be able to just have some me time, which is very important. We all have to fight and create that me time for our sanity, for our mental well being, and for us also to optimally show up for the others in the family. Because if we are burnt out, if we are agitated, irritated all the time, how can we really be present in our best way for anybody? So these are few of the simple things we can start out with. And within that, of course, I mean, there's so many other things, but we can go on and on. But this is just like giving a little, let's say, intro on how to get moving in that direction. And then I think we'll have to do a separate session to do a deep dive into that.
Thank you, Bindiya. Bindiya, my next question. Now, when we speak about beauty, okay, immediately, some or the other heroine is going to pop up in our mind. Okay, so what I'm trying to say, the other day I was watching YouTube and there was this ad that you roll stones on your face and then your husband notices you that you're looking younger. So in reality, honestly, the husband is the last person to notice because he's looking at you every day, so he doesn't really notice the changes. But um, my point is, like, how do we realize our self-value, improve our self-esteem, look beautiful for ourselves and not for someone else to notice or something like that? So what I'm trying to ask is, how do we improve our self-value?
Yeah, so self-worth actually is very important. And what happens is that all these constructs of beauty, which are now all around us, because advertising, social media, everything is just giving us this little ideal of what beauty must look like. There is so much emphasis on everyone having to look young all the time that sometimes you even see people's photographs on social media And when you see them in person, you don't recognize them because they've done so much filtering and they've put youth filter, glow filter, this filter, that filter, that when you see them, you're like, oh my God, are you the same person? So, but we are under pressure to do it because we are seeing all our peers do it. There is, in fact, such an enhanced focus on beauty and beauty treatments that I know people as young as 17 and 18 who are getting fillers because even a natural laugh line to them is not seeming like something they want to be having or that they're proud of. It gives them a complex. So we have to say that, okay, is our self worth that fragile that it's only linked to nothing apart from how we look and how we age? Because we cannot beyond a point. We can keep pumping ourselves, do plastic surgery, all that, but not everyone can even afford that. So after a point, we have to say that how do we age gracefully? Now, to increase self-worth, especially since we're talking about the physicality also of it, the first thing we have to do is feel fit. We have to feel fit from within. You can look really gorgeous and everything with tight skin and not a wrinkle, but if you have no stamina, if you don't feel good, if you're feeling tired, lethargic all the time because you're dieting so much, you're not taking care of a balanced nutritional plan for yourself, then automatically that will also have a compounded effect on how you feel and present yourself. You'll feel that much more fragile, your worth will be low. So let's firstly, all of us try and improve our actual health, internal health by exercising every single day, by trying to actually build some muscle strength, some tone, by making sure that the things we are consuming and putting in our body are healthy, nutritious, balanced for our body. And also by trying to definitely inculcate a little bit, even if it's 10 minutes, of mindfulness or meditation in our day to day routine. It is extremely important because it changes how our mind functions, how it receives information, how we react to things. It gives us a sense of calm, and that sense of calm then helps us increase our worth incrementally, slowly, because we realize the importance of it, because we have clarity in those few minutes where we are mindful or where we are meditating. So that's the other thing. Another very important thing that will help you increase the overall worth of your life, not just your self worth, is to practice gratitude every single day. Wake up in the morning, have a journal by your side, spend only 5 minutes, not more than that, sitting down and saying, what are 5 things today that I'm truly grateful for? And don't repeat the same things. Don't keep saying my house, my family, my job. You can say that the very first time, but you have to find new things, small things, which are hidden in the folds of the day. Like I had the most perfect cup of coffee today, and it felt really good. I didn't get stuck in a traffic jam, or I went somewhere and found a parking easily. You have to comb through the day to find small, small things, different things every day. So, what happens when we practice gratitude is that we move our attention from what we don't have to what we do have. Because it's very easy to keep doing upward comparison, that one has more, more, more. But here we are saying we're not comparing ourselves to anything. We're just finding the value which is there, woven into our life, and respecting it, looking at it for what it is, and enjoying it. So that's the next thing. And one last very important thing here is that be more informed. Learn a skill, anything. If you like music, you could learn how to sing, play an instrument. If you like a sport, you could get better at the sport. If you like cooking, you can refine your cooking skills to take it to the next level. Or you could take, there's so many wonderful online courses which can just expand and open your mind. You could read different sorts of books, not just fiction, but even a little bit of non-fiction, which just opens you to different ideas, to different possibilities, and gives you some sort of intellectual stimulation, which is outside of just the day-to-day routine, where often we don't get that intellectual stimulation. We very often don't get it by just binge watching on a series, which is fun. Everyone should do it, every now and then to decompress, but also consume things which enhance your intellect or your skills in some way, because it's directly related to our self-worth and how we feel about ourselves. So those are some of the three, like, big categories of things we can start working on right away.
Wonderful. Bindya, when you spoke about the diary for gratitude, it clicked with me instantly.
Mhm.
I have a lot to write on that. So every day, five, fine, I can manage. So I will definitely
Yeah,
start with
five
this.
different ones.
Yes, yes, and five different and unique things. And by the time we have a
Yeah.
next online session, I will definitely present it to you before that. Okay.
Excellent. Looking forward to that. Yeah.
Okay, so Bindya, when we speak about women, our mentor, Dr. Pankaj Naram sir, he used to call the female power the Nari Shakti, the Shakti. So a lot is, people say that sixth sense is really nice in the women, and it's stronger in women compared to men. It's not that men don't have sixth sense; they also have it, but it's more prevalent in women, they say. So what can you say about intuition and female energy, and any meditation techniques to create self-awareness and perspectives?
Are you talking to create awareness specifically about intuition? Because I lost you there in the
Yes,
beginning,
yes,
half
yes,
what you
yes.
were
How to catch hold of that thought? If a thought is passing by, at times you just leave it as a running thought, and then you realize, oh,
saying.
this thing had clicked in my mind. So how do you develop your intuition, polish your intuition?
Okay, so, some people say, oh, that person is so intuitive. I'm not. I wish I could be intuitive. This person's blessed with that gift, and so on. What we need to know is that we are all blessed with that gift. Intuition or our gut feeling is something that is hardwired in us. We are born with it. But what happens is that over a period of time, we don't pay heed to it because intuition has a very soft, gentle voice, which can get drowned out very easily by all the noise that we surround ourselves with. The busyness, the rut, this excessive, thought stream that we have. And there's so much stimulus now, with the phone and everything. Where do you have the time to listen to that soft voice when your phone is ringing, messages are coming, you're running in so many different directions, toggling between different things, multitasking? So, in order to develop your intuition, the very first thing you need to do is to have some time carved out, which is silent time, where there is no other stimulus, no distraction. And the best way, again, to do that is by cultivating a mindfulness or a meditation practice. There's no better way to do it because what that does is that it creates a little bit of a gap in this excessive thought traffic that we have constantly running through our mind. When we start creating those gaps, is when we start actually having the silent spaces where we can really hear what our body, our mind, our gut is trying to tell us. Secondly, don't keep second guessing your intuition. So sometimes what happens is, let's say that we practice this in the simplest manner possible, starting by the vibe. Now a lot of talk, people use vibe very loosely, like, oh, good vibe, I'm feeling the vibe, all that. But let's talk about actually what the vibe means, which is the actual vibration which every person has and every person actually exudes physically, because we're all finally made of moving particles. So everyone has vibrational frequencies which are different from the other person. So when you go and meet a new person and you have a certain reaction to them, pay heed to that reaction. This is the simplest way to start honing your intuition. That sometimes people say, in the beginning, I thought this person was not so nice. Then we became really friendly. And then 2 years later, I realized this person wasn't that nice to begin with. But I went back to what my first thought was, but I second guessed myself. So don't second guess without being judgmental. Now, there's a fine line. It's not that you meet someone, oh, it didn't look like you have a good vibe, I'll not talk to you. Don't do that. But ask yourself, what is it that I'm reacting to? Because your subconscious mind is what actually processes intuition. Because your subconscious mind is capable of picking up many things which you may not consciously pick up. but it quickly picks up, it processes, and it gives you that little alarm bell inside saying something's a little off with this person, or what they're saying, I cannot seem to trust this person in what they're saying. So when that little voice is trying to become louder, when it's gently trying to poke you, pay heed every time that happens and go back to whether that voice was right or not. And the more you do it, the more you listen to that voice, the more silent spaces you create on a regular basis in your life, the more sharp your intuition is likely to become because it's getting time to be heard. So that is really the simplest and best way. And one more thing for women specifically, if your gut is telling you you're not safe in a situation, do not try to put logic in. Go with your gut, even if you're erring on the side of caution, no problem. But go with your gut. If you're going into a dark parking space, something doesn't feel right, something probably isn't right. Take someone along, then go to your car. Never ever put your safety at risk if your gut is telling you something because you think you look foolish or anything of the sort. So that's just a nice way to get started, I would think.
Amazing, amazing. I remember our mentor, Dr. Pankaj Nagam sir, he used to carry this small diary in his pocket every time. He had few pockets only, and but still he kept space for that small diary in his pocket. And whenever he had any thought passing by, he used to immediately take his pen, write it down on his diary, and then again put it back in the pocket. But then he used to
Yeah.
encourage us also to maintain a diary. If you have something running in your mind and it at times, in the chaos, it does get lost. So just write it down so that you can
Yeah.
ponder it back again on that thing. Amazing.
Yeah.
So two diaries, one
Mhm.
for intuition and one for gratitude. That I will be starting with.
Yes.
And yes, yes, yes. And Bindya, can you suggest, like whatever that we are going through right now, every day, a lot of news feed and everything. Can you suggest on any
Mhm.
websites, or even can you just recommend what is your blog site name so that we can go through the blogs that you have written on your website?
So my website is called healinghideaway.in. And the blog is part of the website. So if you just go to healinghideaway.in, you can just go to the blog section and there's a lot of stuff there. And very soon, sometime early next month, there'll also be my podcast that will be releasing, which is on everything to do with the mind, the heart, and everything that
Wow.
makes us really tick and keeps us healthy up here and here. So that would also get released on the website. And you can also follow that, of course, on Insta and Facebook to see how that's going. But, I think what we need to also think about here is conscious consumption. Because we're talking about blogs and where to go to read stuff, we have to be our own editors in what we are consuming. We have to put our own filters because there is a lot of negativity which is present online, so much of it that people actually very often say that, I feel so depressed. The news is so negative. Everything I read is so negative. So you have to be the person who becomes in charge of what you're consuming because it is going to be there. But just because it's there doesn't mean you just keep going and lapping it up. You have to put some filters that if this is getting too negative for me, let's say the news, first thing when you read, sometimes it's very negative. You've just woken up with a beautiful blank slate, which is your mind, and feeling pristine after a night's rest. And straight away you open your phone and you see all this horrible news. Somebody got killed, raped, politics and politicians, what they're doing to the country. And you just feel so powerless, so saddened, so negative. So, one small thing that I personally practice also is that I do not expose myself to the news till at least 2 hours after I wake up because I let my mind and everything ease into the day. I don't just wake up and this beautiful, it's like a beautiful white shirt. And as soon as it's come out of the laundry, you go and spill some ink on it right away. So don't do that to yourself. And if you see that you're getting affected by negative content, then very consciously go find stuff which is positive, and there's plenty of that as well, and consume that. So think of it like what I'm consuming through a screen. there are two buckets. There are things which are toxic for me, which I'm not going to consume, just like I'm not going to eat toxic food and poison to make myself sick. I'm not going to consume that to make my mind sick. I'm going to make better choices in my online digital consumption on a day to day basis to improve how I feel about life and improve my positivity and mental health. So I think that is something that we can again all do very, very easily, but we just need to take the first step and get working on that path.
Great. So that means we need to be mindful of what internet feed we are feeding into, consuming into, instead of making our mind full of whatever the rubbish is going on.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Bindiya, it was amazing talking to you. And just let me check. Okay. So, Bindiya, regarding all these things, thank you so much for the practical approach that you have given us. Thank you very much for it's so lovely to talk to you. Every time you give these suggestions, I think they are practical at any given age, in any given social strata, in any country, in any nationality. So thank you for your universal solutions. Thank you very much. I hope we meet up very soon again. And okay. So, friends, if you have anything to ask about mindfulness, meditation techniques, or even your confusions regarding the mind working, so you can definitely post your questions on the comment section. We will send it to Bindiya and we will get back with the answers. Thank you so much. Namaste. Love you all.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Bindiya.